Number 18, we want to complete this text, so let's pay attention to what's going on in the text as a whole, and then especially pay attention to the sentence with the blank in it, because that's going to tell us how this blank relates to what we just read. So aptamers, synthetic DNA or RNA molecules that bind to target molecules, can be used to test for food-borne bacterial pathogens, though their specificity, which they define as the probability of returning a negative result in the absence of the focal pathogen, in real-world foods has been unclear. They fabricated test paper incorporating aptamers targeting strain 0157H7 of E. coli. The paper shifts from pink to purple as the aptamers binds to the target. So if there is this E. coli present, this particular strain, it will turn purple. They tested the paper in store-bought pear juice they treated with E. coli 0157H7, other strains of E. coli, and other bacteria species. Following exposure, the paper from the 0157H7 test was purple, while papers from the other tests were pink, suggesting that what? So what does this suggest? It suggests that it worked, right? It successfully detected the 0157H7, and it did not detect the presence of these other things that it wasn't trying to detect. In other words, we go back to the setup here, right? The whole mystery at the beginning was that the specificity in real-world foods has been unclear. So what did they do? They tested it, and they found that it seems that the specificity is pretty good. It does return a negative result in the absence of the pathogen, right? Those that didn't have the 0157 were pink, as they should have been. That's a negative result because the target species was absent. So long story short, this study supports or shows that this method of aptamers has specificity. So let's go to our choices. A, aptamer-based tests in real-world foods are more likely to show a high degree of specificity if the focal pathogen is that than if it is another. We only know about the specificity with this particular strain. What the specificity is when targeting other strains, we don't know. The only focal pathogen here was the 0157. Maybe with other bacteria, it wouldn't be as successful. Maybe it would be popping positive in the presence of bacteria that are not those focal bacteria. But we just don't know. All we know is about for 0157, the specificity looks good, but that's it. How about B? Uncertainty about the specificity of aptamer-based tests for pathogens in real-world foods may be due to the similarity between, okay, there's no uncertainty anymore. The study has shown, at least for this strain, that the specificity is pretty good. Why we had this original uncertainty about the specificity, we don't know. Is it because there's like this similarity between... Again, this is all speculative. Stick with what's in the text. Don't be creative. Don't be imaginative. Just what does the text say? Limit yourself to that. And also, it's just contradicted because there is no more uncertainty. At least, again, for this strain. C, the specificity of the tests in a real-world food was unaffected by the aptamer's tendency to bind to different strains of E. coli. The specificity of the tests in real-world food was unaffected by the tendency to bind to different strains. It's this relationship that I don't know where it's coming from. The relation between the specificity of the test and the tendency to bind to different strains. This is just not relevant to the finding here. Ultimately, the finding is that the specificity of this particular test was good. We don't know what the effect is of an aptamer's tendency to bind to different strains, how that affects the specificity. It's just too broad. We're at a very narrow conclusion here, so let's stay narrow. D, the aptamer successfully bound to E. coli 0157, and the test displayed a high degree of specificity in real-world food. Yeah. When that bacteria was present, it turned purple. When it wasn't, it stayed pink. It was negative, as it should be if the specificity is good. Yeah, so D is a good explanation of what's going on. Good conclusion that we can draw. So 18 is D.